Welcome to my channel. My name is Don, and this is the Big Stream or Stream Bigger. And I'm doing part 2 of California propositions. I thought it might be interesting. I haven't seen anybody else do it where you sit down and go through the propositions one by one to see whether or not we should say yes or no, or at least me. I mean, because some of these make no sense to me, and some of them I I find interesting because, you know, if you watch the first video, then the second video, then you would know that in some cases they're trying to raise or lower the bar for approving raising property taxes. And we'll get into that because I think there's another one here that's trying to do the same thing. So let's go through the propositions that we had started. We had actually got done with some of them. I do want to start out because whenever we have propositions, they're either they're selling bonds or whatever, and taking on more debt, and the debt is over 30 years, 40 years, that kind of stuff. So in California, or people who live in California, are connected to that. And so I think it's very good to start with a base to see how much debt we currently have are holding in California, and what does that break down? Not only how much debt we have, but you know, what was the shortfall last year? How much did they overspend last year? And how much do they expect to overspend this year? And yet these propositions want more money. So as you could probably tell, I'm not exactly a fan of anything that puts more burden on, well, myself or Californians, that kind of stuff. So let's begin. And I'm just going to start off with a little bit of going through the propositions that I already sort of decided on. Prop 2 authorizes the bonds for public schools and community college facilities. Yeah. So what we found out during the last video, that California spends over $100 billion on schools already. And so this stuff should already be in that budget, and I'm not sure why. And California itself has lost a lot of students moving away or whatever from the state. So instead of increasing the budget should be less, but they're doing this, and you can only get the money that they haven't connected that. So basically they're going to sell a bond for $10 billion, and counties can get part of that money if they raise their local property taxes, which is, to me, a big no. So let's go ahead, and I want to bring up a little split screen. I'm using the OC GoStream M2. 2 HDMI inputs, HDMI out, USB-C out. It's actually a really good switcher. Little mini switcher. So I asked, and like I said, I thought it'd be important to start with how much debt we currently hold in California. And I'm asking ChatGPT and Grok the same question. So, you know, most of this is just to see whether or not they talk to each other, they get the same information. Gosh darn it. Had to raise my hand because if I raise my hand a certain amount, then I'm using the tail air, which I don't have the gesture control. So it'll start tracking me, and I don't want it to do that. I should have been a little bit more prepared, but I'm not. So I asked, how much debt do we currently have? So California, from ChatGPT, California's total debt, accounting for state and local obligations, is estimated to be around $1.6 trillion. The figure includes approximately $362 billion in state liabilities, which is insane. For California, the debt transfers to about $33,000 per resident, or nearly $74,000 per taxpayer. It's actually way more than that. Uh, Yesterday, chat told me it was 126,000, something like that, per person. Major components. Got too many mice. Major components of debt include unfunded. I don't care what the major components is. How you overspend 126, I mean $106 trillion more than what you take in, you should be fired from your job. I mean, anybody else, if I had a business, which I'm trying to start a business, and I spent, 1,000% more than what I take in, I can't just hand that debt to someone else and say, no, you take care of it. That's what California is doing. So this is shameful and needs to be, I don't know what they're going to do. But Grok tells me California's financial solutions. Let's go ahead and switch to a nice little PMP here. Picture in picture, not PMP like party and play. Let's see. California's financial situation is like a roller coaster ride and a theme park design. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I forget. I have Grok on fun, and I don't want it to be fun. So let's go ahead and take this off. Fun mode off. Thank you. And then we're going to ask this again because I want to total amount of California debt. You have to bear with me because I need to copy and paste these. Like I said, I don't have this. And let's see what it gives. Okay, great. California's total state and local government debt is around $1.6 trillion. The figure includes unfunded liabilities. So it looks like they're actually getting information from the same source. Remember these. What's nice about these, so I have Hoover Institution, World Population Review, states with the most debt, California Policy Center. Okay, cool. So that gives me sources, and then Grok also gives me, I'm not sure if X postings are sources, but behind enemy lines, 18.6, zero hedge. I think you could trust that one. Yeah, no, wow. So now we understand, we have a baseline to where to start, to know where to start. Oh, actually, let's see. How much will FOR? Too many typos. Okay, so I'm basically curious how much they overspent on their budget, and they want more money when they can't do that. So California is faced with a deficit of $38 billion for following the January 2024. For the fiscal year 2024 to 2025, there is a mention of $73 billion budget deficit. So we're looking at $70 billion overspending. And then what about, okay, hold on a second. For whatever reason, my window is a little not cool. Okay, now I can see my thing. So let's see what chat has to say. Okay, so here they've lowered it a little bit to 68 billion. Either way, it's around 70 billion that they're going to overspend this year, and they want more money. So the way I look at this is no on Prop 2. I don't think it should be tied to property taxes. I think that's to raise property taxes again is, I don't care what people say. We're not underpaying the property taxes. And I'll give you a little story. personal experience. I have a friend that's 92 years old, and he owns property, a condo here in San Diego, and he. I wonder if I anyway. He his place has been bought and paid for years at this point. So he doesn't have any mortgage. He doesn't have a mortgage, but the state of California, in the amount of property tax he owes, he pays them $15,000 a year. Now, he's 92 years old. He's on a fixed income. He'll never have more money coming in. It's just not going to happen. And $15,000 a year for the privilege of living here in San Diego, in California. I don't know how they can justify. I mean, to me, that seems like they're stealing. I mean, it's not like you should be paying California for rent for a place that you already bought and pay taxes on. I mean, because when you buy a home, you pay taxes there as well. So it's obscene that is such a large amount of his budget goes to the state of California, and his return is, I mean, it's not like services are getting better for him. The roads aren't good for him. California has a lot of issues that they're not taking care of, and they want more money because this time supposedly they're going to take care of it. So no on Prop 2. We'd already been through this. I'm going to run through these quick. Prop 3, constitutional right to marriage. Generally, I'm for that. I think that the wording needs to be a little bit stronger because it doesn't seem to exclude people marrying pets and houses and cars. So, marriage can be between human, but, if you leave a loophole, there's always crazy people. So I'm going to go no on Prop 3. And just let you know, I myself am gay, and it's fine. So I don't care if people want to get married, but there's always crazy people out there. And if you leave a loophole for crazy people, then they're going to take advantage of it. So why this wasn't written better is beyond me. It's very poorly written. It's actually almost nothing. It leaves such a gaping hole. It's sad. So Prop 4 authorizes bonds for safe drinking water, wildfire prevention, protecting communities and natural lands from climate risks. I don't like this one. We went through this before. This one allows for 40% of the money. It's another $10 billion bond. And it allows for 40% of that $10 billion to be a general fund that they can put anywhere they want. And I'm never in favor of a slush fund because that's what it is. If you're not going to make sure that the money goes to where it's supposed to, and you just give people, a big stack of money, where's the accountability? Where's anything? So I would say no on that. And it also raises taxes again. Prop number 5 allows local bonds for affordable housing, public infrastructure with 55% voter approval. Okay, this one's I call the Trojan horse. No on Prop 5. Is it Prop 5? Yeah. It raises lowers the bar for raising property taxes. So California right now obviously has overspending problems with $1.6 trillion in debt. So they want to lower the approval for raising property taxes from 2/3 to 55%. And I would say no, because California is like a drug addict. The people in Sacramento can't get enough of other people's money. So to allow them, to give them the opportunity to raise your taxes on your property again. And I told you about my friend who's 92 and he's paying the state of California $15,000 a year just to live in a place that he already paid taxes on, and he has no mortgage there. I would definitely say no on that for me. Prop 6 eliminates constitutional provision allowing involuntary servitude for incarceration. I agree with this. People in prison, while they're there for punishment for whatever crime they did, should not be forced to work. And we looked up the amount they pay. They get paid pennies. Let's say on average, it seems like they get paid about $5 a day if they work. And that's ridiculous. the companies that are using prison for this labor need to pay a fair wage. You know, I mean, the price will go up on things. I don't even know if the price will go up because I tried to look to see which companies were taking advantage, and I bought it, and the information came up with a bunch of companies that that are contracted by other companies. So I don't know what other companies are actually contracting the people who go into the prisons. So I would say yes on that because, you know, a fair wage, if they're doing labor. Although I do have to say, if they are in prison, they should be made to clean. I've got no problem with that. Cleaning should be the number one thing, whether it's on the side of the road or, you know, cleaning our sidewalks or cleaning the prison themselves. That should be something that's not paid because that is part of the punishment or should be part of the punishment. You know, make California clean again. Yeah, see what I did there? That was pretty funny. Prop 32 raises minimum wage initiative. So they're wanting to raise minimum wage on other companies. California last year raised minimum wage to fast food workers to $20 an hour. There's different reports saying that in some cases 10,000 jobs get lost and others we actually gain jobs. I don't really believe, you know, one, I think the number of jobs lost is overestimated, and obviously the number of jobs that we gained is also overestimated. So my general rule with something like this is the government shouldn't be telling companies how much they should value what they pay their employees. It's a company right thing, and I would say no to that as well. So now we're on to the fresh ones, and I know this is going to be long because not that I ramble when I talk, but this is me practicing and getting better at doing these podcasts, video podcasts. So I'm going to make it long, but I'm going to make it interesting. Around that kind of stuff, track me. It's all right, camera. I don't know if I recommend it. I mean, I do because it's you know, because it tracks you and it has its own battery, but it's just all right. Okay, so now we're on to the new props. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 more to go. I'm going to try and go through these quick because I want to work out mostly, but I don't think most people have patience to stay here. Although, yeah, no, let me see. We're 30 minutes into this, and we really haven't even started. So, Prop 33 expands local government's authority to enact rent control on residential property initiative. Now, we've already been through that stuff, and I don't know what this means. So let's go ahead and ask, what is let's break it down into bullet points. That should make it easier to read, actually. And let me go ahead and, no, I don't need that. So I'm going to copy this. And then we're going to have ask, and then this one as well. Break it down into bullet points. Okay. So this says, repeal the Costa-Hawkins Rental Housing Act of 1995, which currently limits the extent to which local governments can implement rent control. Prohibit the state from limiting local rent control in the future. I agree with that because, I mean, that they should be limited because, like I said, those people in Sacramento are money hungry, and they will take money from everybody and anybody. I mean, they're $1.6 trillion in debt. So what are they going to do in order to cover up that shortfall? I mean, to me, they should be in jail. But remove restrictions on setting initial rent rates for new tenants and rent increases for existing tenants. Physical impact, potentially reduce local property tax revenues by tens of millions of dollars. Okay. Annually, due to likely expansion of rent control. Arguments for aims to provide relief for California's 17 million renters by controlling high rent costs. Advocates argue that rent control has historically helped keep people in their homes. I don't think so. You know what rent goes for right now? I mean, in California, I came past a one bedroom, 700 square feet, even less than that, for $3,000 a month. And I mean, it's unbelievable that it would be that high. Critics claim it could discourage new housing construction, potentially freezing housing development. Well, there's no housing development, really. There's only condo development here in California. So that's a false claim, because part of the reason why we don't have more housing or better housing, enough housing, is because California is dragging its feet on developing new houses and opening up areas to be developed. So that is actually Sacramento's again. Concerns that it might reverse recent state housing laws designed to increase housing supplies. Again, the housing supplies they're doing, I mean, $3,000 for a one bedroom. And this is in San Diego, in an area I used to pay $650, $850 for a studio not too long ago, 20 years ago. Opposition from some groups suggests that it could lead to rent increases in properties. We're already paying $3,000 a month. What are you talking about? Impact on renters. Renters in controlled properties might benefit from lower rent increases or rent stabilization. However, renters in non-controlled properties might face, could restrict landlords' ability to increase rents, potentially affecting their income. Previous attempts. Okay, so similar propositions have been on the ballot before, but have not passed. This probably won't pass. Public sentiment. Recent polls suggest mixed feelings, with some support for expanded rent control. To me, the number one problem with housing in California is actually our government itself, because I don't know what it is. In my area, they've been building these monster condos. And like I said, the average cost seems to be anywhere between $2,700 and $3,000 a month for studios or even one bedroom. So I don't know what they're talking about. They're not allowing real expansion here in California. And then obviously a percentage of those need to go to low income. So where's the incentive for developers to build right now? I'm not sure about this prop. I'm going to say no to it, because it seems to just, well, maybe I'll say yes to it. I mean, it's a yes and no. It's mixed, because on one hand, it takes the power away from the state of California up in Sacramento for rent control, and puts it locally. And that's good, because, like I said, our state assembly should not have power over every single thing, particularly that, because they mess it up. So I'm going to put this, I have to think about. A yes vote supports removing state restrictions, granting cities more control over laws. I'm leaning toward yes. Doesn't seem to cost anything, and I don't know how, if this is approved or disapproved. I don't think it'll change this current situation in California with its $3,000 a month rent on average. Yeah, so it could go either way, with more leaning toward yes, just to take power away from Sacramento, because I'm a dick like that. Okay, next one. Prop 34 restricts spending of prescription drug revenues by certain healthcare providers. Now, every election, somebody in California seems to want to take over some part of the healthcare system, because we keep getting these. So let's see exactly what they mean. So what is this? Prop 34. Prop. Now remember, California is currently $1.6 trillion in debt, and it's going to have a shortfall of $70 billion. So it really shouldn't have much to say in anything, really. Or state assembly. I mean, okay. Prop 34. Objective: to enforce that certain healthcare providers spend 98% of the revenue they generate from the federal prescription drug discount program on direct patient care. Healthcare providers who have participated in the federal 340B drug price discount program have spent over $100 million in any 10-year period on purposes other than direct patient care, own or have owned multifamily housing with a combined total of at least 500 high severity health and safety violations. That I don't understand. Owned or have owned multifamily housing? That'd be a question. Key provision requires annual reporting of financial information related to revenue from the federal drug discount program to the Attorney General and relevant healthcare regulatory bodies. Penalties for not adhering to the 98% spending rule include potential loss of tax exempt status, license to operate, blah, blah, blah. So physical impact likely increased state costs in the millions of dollars annually to enforce these new rules, of course. So I would say no already. Arguments for: aims to ensure that the public health care dollars are used for patient care, preventing misuse, protects patients. Okay. Seen as some as a revenge initiative, particularly targeting the AIDS Healthcare Foundation for its role in promoting rent control measures. Huh. Critics argue it could be a threat to democracy. Okay. By weaponizing the ballot against specific organizations. Okay. Anybody who says threat to democracy, you might as well just ignore it or walk away. So already now I'm leaning toward yes, because threat to democracy is such a bullshit term. I mean, it's just unbelievable that that's even being used every single day, all day long. Concerns that it might limit the operational flexibility of nonprofits not adhering to the specific criteria, but still providing. So this is like an accountability proposition. This proposition seems to be intertwined with the housing politics in California, especially as countermeasures to initiatives like which deals with rent control. Public sentiment. There is considerable debate on Prop 34, with some seeing it as necessary oversight, on healthcare spending, while others view it as a targeted attack on specific. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. The California Campaign Dynamics, the California Apartment Association has been a significant financial supporter for Prop 34, while the AIDS Healthcare Foundation has actively opposed it. This proposition, if passed, would introduce significant regulations on how certain healthcare providers allocate funds from a federal drug discount program, potentially altering. Well, that's interesting. Now, I have a question, though. Okay. So this, I don't understand. What does this? 34. Oops. Wait, hold on. What? All right. I'm curious how this is connected to housing. Target at specific providers. The proposition is aimed at healthcare providers who not only meet the financial criteria of having spent over 100 million in a direct patient care, significant property management, multifamily housing violations. The clause about owning or having owned multifamily housing with a combined total of at least 500 high severity health and safety violations refers to properties like apartment buildings or housing complexes that these healthcare providers own or have owned. So, have they been using the money? I mean, let me get this straight. Have they been using the money and instead of participating in the drug program, siphoning it off to properties run by it? I mean, that's what it seems to me. It's high severity violations. Okay, we get that. There's a lot of slumlords. Let's see. It seems intended to target organizations that have not only failed to adequately prioritize direct patient care with their funds, but have also neglected their responsibilities as property owners, leading to unsafe living conditions. You know what? I'm actually all for this. This is an oversight program. This this is to make sure that the funds that are being used by these, well, California itself, you know, and these organizations are actually using the funds for what they're intended. No, I got no problem with this. So okay, let's see what this one says. I'm just going to speed through this. It's pretty much the same. Prop 34 initiative to regulate certain spending, property penalties for non-compliance. I would say yes. Any oversight, because California has a problem with oversight. You look at the big train debacle that we have, the high-speed train, which is never built. How much has spent? How much? Oh, okay. So it seems that the high speed rail that we voted for over a decade ago, spent money on, oops, um, has never materialized. And there's really doesn't seem to be a lot of oversight on it because let's see how much has been built and how much is. So California has spent approximately about 10 billion on the high-speed project already. Despite the investment, the project has not laid any miles of track for the high-speed rail itself intended. So $10 billion, 0 miles of track. However, there are segments under construction. Okay, that means it's not finished, not built, of 119 miles. Wow. So right now, $10 billion, nothing to show for it. Where's the oversight on it? And it's been over a decade. I think this was approved easily 10 years ago. All right, let's see what chat has to say. California's high-speed rail, okay, never happened. To date, around 10 billion, which, primarily primarily on a 119-mile segment in Central Valley where nobody lives. Bakersfield, and it's not even high speed. It's not even, well, I mean, there's no train on it, so it doesn't matter. The initial segment expected to serve It's testified by see. So it's supposed to be 500 miles, and zero has been completed in 10 years. The total projection estimated over $100 billion. Yeah, no, they need to stop with that. It's ridiculous that this is still going on. So anyway, back to Prop 34. Let me go back up. I need to copy and paste. Let's go back to here. Okay. So anything that has, to me, anything that deals with oversight for, particularly for our government here in California, I think is necessary. And I don't really know enough about this, but it seems that if Sacramento is against it, then I'm for it because they need to be watched. Every penny needs to be watched up there from these people because they spend. Like I said, $1.6 trillion in debt. And I mean, that's how do they get away with that? I mean, obviously because nobody's talking about in the news. And you have to think our nation is what, 35 billion in debt. So the state of California itself is $1.5 trillion. We're 40 million people in California out of 300 million. So, I mean, obviously something needs to be done, but sadly, people won't do anything about, getting these people out. I believe in term limits, so I think every politician should be termed out after a reasonable amount of time. And this, and not only that, not only termed out, but not allowed to be in hold another position in government, because that's ridiculous. Get out and get a job like everybody else. Stop living off the government for your entire life, and stealing from everybody in California. Like I said, my 92-year-old friend, $15,000 a year in property taxes just for the privilege of living here in lovely California. So that would be a yes on oversight for number 34. So Prop 35, what is it? Provides permanent funding for medical health care services. Now, what does that mean, permanent funding? Because we're $1.6 trillion in debt, 70 billion shortfall this year. So what does permanent funding mean? So let's find out. Prop 35. I could tell you right now, I don't think California should be spending any more money. Okay. Because I was slow, chat came up first. California Prop 35 focuses on healthcare funding and aims to make permanent and existing so what's supposed to be a temporary tax, they want to make it permanent so they keep the money coming in. Make permanent and existing tax on managed care organizations, companies that manage healthcare plans for Medi-Cal. Here's the summary. Prop 35 would extend the MCO tax past its scheduled 2026 expiration. I would say no to this. No. Ensuring a steady revenue source dedicated to Medi-Cal, California's public health program for low-income residents. This would prevent these funds from being redirected to other uses by future state lawmakers. Funding impact. The tax, which amounts to $182 per Medi-Cal enrollee each month, is expected to generate $2 to $5 billion in yearly revenue, which will go directly to healthcare providers and hospitals serving. And you can't believe them because they don't do that. Supporters argument. Proponents include many healthcare organizations argue that this measure will increase Medi-Cal reimbursement rates, which are currently low, improving access to care for patients. They see it as a significant healthcare investment, given that large portion. Yeah. While there is no organized opposition, critics, including Newsom, worry that earmarking these funds might limit the state's flexibility in managing future budgets, especially during fiscal downturns. See, now I'm curious. The initiative highlights the ongoing debate between targeted healthcare funding and fiscal flexibility, with widespread backing from healthcare stakeholders due to its potential to enhance California's health service infrastructure. Now, I have to question Gavin Newsom here because I find it hard to believe that he's worried about, the limiting the state's flexibility and more worried about the ability to spend the money where he wants to spend it. So I'm suspicious why he would be against something that would put in place a permanent tax. Now, Grok says Prop 35 makes permanent the existing tax on managed healthcare insurance plans. Well, that was a better written sentence than the other. The tax, if approved by the federal government, provides revenue to fund Medi-Cal healthcare services. Physical impact. Short-term state costs are estimated between $1 and $2 billion annually to increase funding for certain health programs. Long-term. Let's see. Voting yes. An existing state tax on health plans that funds certain health programs would become permanent. New rules would direct how the state must use the revenue. See, there it is. New rules would direct how the state must use the revenue. So Gavin Newsom doesn't like it because this is a bullshit proposition. There's no good answer to this. Newsom doesn't like it because it would tell the state where it must use the funds. And he doesn't want that because he wants just a general slush fund to do whatever he wants. Wow. Well, I'm not in favor of a permanent or a temporary tax being made permanent. I think that's wrong. I'm also in favor of making sure that the taxes go to where they're meant to go. So this is kind of a tough one. So arguments for addresses healthcare crisis by securing dedicated funding without raising taxes. So the tax is already there, so not going to raise taxes. Okay. Protects and potentially expands access to various things, prevents the state from redirecting these funds for non-healthcare purposes, ensuring 99% of revenues go to patient care. See, told you that's why Newsom's against it. What a douchebag. Supported by organizations like EMTs and various, I don't know why, no official against, indicating a lack of organized opposition. Yeah, well, the initiative seeks to secure funding. We already know that. Potential concerns. While not directly listed, one could infer concerns about the permanence of the tax and its implications on state fiscal policy might arise, especially if there's a future change in how the federal government views or regulates such taxes. So, So this is actually good and bad. I would vote to end it, but what are they planning on replacing it? Because if Newsom's against it, then he has a plan to replace it because they always do. And then making a tax permanent. I don't know. I'm gonna close my. I will tell you, I'll vote the opposite of what Newsom wants, just because, as I said before, I'm a bit of a dick. and our government needs more oversight. The tax is already there, but it's going to be ending. But it's not going to be ending because I'm pretty sure that there'll be an extension come 2026 or whenever it is. Um, so this one's a tough call. Vote yes to permanent taxes or vote no and allow Newsom and Sacramento to keep spending the money where they want instead of where it's supposed to go. So, huh. Yeah, no, kind of a dilemma there on that one, isn't it? Oh, I need to learn to sit up when I'm doing these. I'm like hunched over like this. Well, you can't see, but if you could see, I'm hunched over. I mean, if anyone has a suggestion on which way it should go, which way you should go, I would say anything that puts in oversight on California's the Newsom and Sacramento, I have no problems with. The tax is already there, but it would make it permanent. Yeah, no, this one really kind of sucks. Uh, you know, you're. I would say no, which is but I know that's a catch because Newsom wouldn't be against it unless there was a plan because they would not allow that money to go away, but they want to keep that money coming in. So I'm going to say no because I don't want to see a permanent tax, but I want to say yes, but that keeps the tax, that makes the tax permanent. So I'm going to go no and then keep an eye out for when they spring on whatever they have planned, which will be coming up. Guaranteed. This this is definitely not the end. If it gets approved, then they still get what they want, but they can't use it as a slush fund anymore. If it doesn't get approved, then the tax ends, but Sacramento's not going to allow that to happen. So I wonder what they have up their sleeve. I mean, good old lizard person Gavin Newsom, I'm sure is trying to come up with something. So no for me, but watch your back because something's up. Okay, Prop 35 is done. So Prop 36 allows felony charges and increases sentences for certain drug and theft crimes. I'm for this one right away. I know enough about that. So, and this is 36. So, California and its lack of wisdom, or at least the voters, for the most part. I mean, everybody wants to feel good about themselves and helping other people, but that's not what ends up happening. And then obviously the people up in Sacramento don't live in the same reality. So they allow theft up to $950 in California, and you can be repeated, whatever. Um, so there's been a lot of crime because of that. Because I mean, how could you do that? I mean, a lot of crime that came in here, and people go into stores and steal up to $950, and there's nothing anybody can do about it. And if you don't believe me, there's plenty of video evidence online. You just have to look it up. But it's just ridiculous. So Prop 36 aims to correct a little bit of that. Allows felony charges, and this is from Grok. Felony charges increased sentences for certain drug and theft crimes. Purpose aims to, let's go down, revised criminal justice reforms, particularly those enhanced by Prop 47 in 2014, by increasing penalties and allowing felony charges for certain crimes. Key crimes: felony crimes for theft increases the penalty for repeat shoplifters with 2 or more past convictions. See, I got no problem with this, where the value of the goods stolen is $950 or less. So if you end up, I mean, you could go in there and steal up to $950, but if you were caught at some point and you've done it multiple times, then you can get, potentially, potentially making it a felony punishable by up to 3 years in prison. Got no problem with that. Group theft allows for felony sentences, because there's been a lot of smash and grab from groups. Allows for felony sentences for theft or property damage if committed by a group of 3 or more with potential for long. Got no problem with that. I mean, because of California's, I don't understand it. I mean, sure, maybe it's the feel goods, or I don't know, but because of their $950 and their hands-off approach to stealing in California, suddenly we were swarmed with smash and grabs. So now, if you go to stores here in Southern California, there are giant parts of the stores, Target and Walmart's doing it, that are now locked behind glass cases. And it doesn't matter what it is. It could be nail clippers, could be toilet paper. It's just everything. Laundry detergent. And I have no problem with this, because there needs to be penalties. You can't just do that. Drug offenses allows individuals convicted of possessing certain drugs like meth or fentanyl with 2 or more past drug convictions to be charged with a treatment mandatory. That is perfect, because the only way to help these people is by forcing them into treatment. I don't wait for them to ask. You put them in treatment. I mean, you send them to jail and you put them in some kind of treatment. It requires courts to warn individuals convicted of distributing illegal drugs about potential future financial impact, likely to increase the state criminal justice costs. We're paying a lot for that. Ranging from tens of millions to hundreds of millions annually. Well, that's okay. They're criminals. Due to larger appearances, support and opposition. Supporters, law enforcement organizations, business association. It will reduce crime, maybe. I don't know how it address homelessness related to drug addiction. They need to be taken off the street if they're addicted to drugs and repeatedly getting into trouble over it. Then they need to go into some kind of treatment and ensure treatment for offenders. Opponents, I don't know what a criminal justice reform group is. Some Democrats, Newsom, arguing against it, of course, because Newsom likes the chaos. As you can tell, I don't like Newsom very much. I mean, $1.6 trillion in debt. Let's see. Potential ratio. Okay, got no problem with this. I would say, it's definite yes, because something needs to change. You walk into a store, doesn't matter who you are, they treat you like a criminal, because they know it happens so much here that, I mean, everybody's a criminal now. There's a division in public opinion, with some seeing it. I don't know why there would be a division. Okay. Could lead to shift in how drug and theft crimes are prosecuted, potentially increasing the prison population. No problem with that. That's why they're there. Aims to balance accountability with treatment, though critics argue it might undermine rehabilitation programs and funding for other. How? Legal and social implications. Could reinvigorate debates over the effectiveness of punitive versus rehabilitative approaches to crime. Might affect how the state addresses issues like drug. Well, they're not addressing any issues like drug addiction and homelessness. They're literally absorbing money, and we're seeing no return. So something has to change. What does Grok say? Let's see. Increase penalties. Physical pretty much says the same thing. Grok, what is chat? I like how chat has these, but LA Public Press Don't know what that means. California Secretary of State. 2024 voter guide. I was going to say I like their citations, but they don't seem to be very deep. Proponents argue the measure could that this measure addresses rising theft and drug crisis, especially with the fentanyl epidemic, by holding repeat encounters accountable. Opponents counter that it may escalate prison costs and divert resources from effective community. Well, California does not have any effective community support systems. I mean, if they do, they're hidden. Because you walk outside, I'm in Mission Valley in San Diego, and if you walk outside of this place, it's littered, particularly down here by the river. There's hundreds of homeless people living in the river, and there's filth, trash, drugs. When I walk down there, I see drug use every single day. People shooting up. It's absolutely insane. And one of the buildings just got down there was set on fire recently. Something has to be done. I mean, obviously when you know you messed up, because I mean, people need to be held accountable for being douchebags. And so, yes, for me, for Prop 35, penalties for repeat offenders, 100%. And the thing is, it's not even putting people in jail. You can still steal up to the 950 limit, but you can't just keep doing it whenever you need groceries, whenever you need, a new pair of shoes, TVs. I mean, it's not just groceries. I mean, most of the time it's clothes. When I was over at Fashion Valley Mall, you literally we'll be sitting there because I take my friend, the 92-year-old, to go get some noodles there. And you'll see people running through with clothes because they just grabbed and ran, and there's no accountability. If they get caught, nothing's going to happen. And so, there needs to be some accountability for the number of times. Okay, so I'm in San Diego. We got two measures. I don't know what they are. Let's see. Measure G, funding San Diego County transportation, infrastructure, and safety projects through a half-cent sales tax. I don't even have to look that up. That's a no. They already get enough in taxes. And if you've been to San Diego, we have some absolutely horrible roads, and they don't work on them. Matter of fact, instead of actually repairing our roads and taking care of our roads with the money that they have, they've been literally canvassing the entire county with bike lanes. And not just bike lanes, but they'll put bike lanes next to bike lanes. So an example is you got 5th Street and 6th Street, which parallel each other for a long distance. Then they go along Balboa Park. They took out lanes on those, on both of them. Then they put out bike lanes on each one of them, going north and south or east and west or whatever. And they're literally maybe a quarter of a block apart. So what was the purpose of it? Now, if you go down the street next to Balboa Park, instead of being the nice trees and the view and stuff like that, you have nothing but hundreds and hundreds of white pylons to separate, painted lines everywhere. They did this in a place called Florida Canyon, which is also downtown. And it's the only hiking canyon that we have in the downtown part of San Diego. And it's filled with nothing but, because they took out both sides of the road. They lined it with plastic or fiberglass or whatever toxic material they're using, all the way down through the only hiking path. So now when you get there, it's this big, ugly mess. And they're doing it everywhere, and it makes no sense. There'll be places. Not only are they doing this everywhere, I mean, I understand bike routes. I got no problem. I love, I bike myself. But there needs to be, it can't just be thrown on every street and streets taken away. In this area, they're planning on putting 50,000 units, but they're getting rid of lanes for people to drive on. They're replacing them with bike lanes because they think everybody's going to be buying a bicycle. Uh, uh, we're also like the number one, the capital of the United States for bike theft. So it's not going to happen. It's just ridiculous. And bike lanes are great, but have some consistency. You don't need a bike lane on one street that's next to another street, the exact same thing. You're just slowing down traffic. You're making the area ugly. How much toxic material are put into these plastic cones that they're putting in? I mean, it's just so no, you're not getting another half-cent sales tax. And I wonder how much debt you're in anyway. So, uh, how much is okay? Oops. So San Diego's debt situation involves multiple layers. God, they always say that. Um, so right now, yeah, no, they don't deserve another increase. So right now they have 4.4 billion in debt that they have total debt. And I mean, they can't budget manage the budget. So they're wanting to put another sales tax. And I would guarantee this is a general slush fund as well for the proposition. Let's see. San Diego. Let's see what Grok says for how much of a shortfall do we have this year? So right now it says that they've overspent this year's budget by $172 million. Why? Why? I should have done a special one, another like a part three just on the local measures. What? Which response do you prefer? Okay. So San Diego's budget for fiscal year 2024 is 5.1 billion. Such as the ongoing need, 140 million dedicated to. They're not doing street repairs. Nowhere I've seen. They have 9.2 million climate equity fund, which is a slush fund. Okay, so no on measure G. If they can't balance the budget, then they should not be coming for more. Another tax increase on top of tax increase. And if they get the other couple of propositions for raising the property taxes, not only are you going to get a tax here, but you're also going to get your property taxes raised. So, I mean, it's just sad. And real quick, measure H. Do you approve an amendment to the. Now, this one I have no idea. H. Okay, let's see what Grok says about it. No idea. Measure H in San Diego, formerly known as the Authorized Child Care on Parkland Property Amendment, was on the ballot in 2022. Here's a breakdown based on purpose. The primary goal of the measure was to amend the San Diego City Charter to allow for the operation of child care facilities on dedicated parkland property. This amendment aims to address the shortage of child care providers by enabling the city to lease parkland to such facilities. The measure defines child care as any state licensed facility providing non-medical care and supervision for children under 18. Okay, leasing authority. Although the measure's text initially seemed to give this authority to a city manager, in practice, due to San Diego's government structure, this authority would be incised by the mayor, which with limitations set by municipal code. Opponents of the measure argue that it would provide safe locations for quality childcare, improved access to working families, and do so without reducing park space or increasing taxes. It was supported by the same, I don't know who Chris Tate is, but while the web results didn't explicitly detail opposition, general concerns include the potential commercialization of park spaces. See, now that I have to agree with. The actual impact on park availability and the governance. I would say no, because this isn't, our government should be allowing childcare, for money, for profit childcare facilities to open up in our parks. Those are ours. They're not meant for outside businesses. This measure was approved by voters with approximately 60. So it doesn't really matter, indicating strong community support. I really don't have any skin in this game. I don't care one way or another. I'm just going to vote no. The conversation around Measure H reflects ongoing discussions about how citizens can address community needs like healthcare. I don't want to address that. I don't want to talk about it. However, the measure specifies, like the leasing authority, highlight the complexities of charter amendments and local governance. But the measure reflects a broader trend of cities finding innovative uses for public spaces to address social services shortages. What social services shortages? I don't get it. It shows an effort to adapt urban planning to accommodate essential services like children, which, oh my God. Yeah, I'm going to say no. No. They should be leasing public park spaces. I mean, if you're a personal trainer and you want to go to the park to train people, they don't allow that. You need a permit, and they don't allow it anyway. I mean, it's there's virtually none of it happening because they won't give the permits. So I don't see any reason to do this. If Poway wants to do it, more power to them. If they can get enough people to vote for it, sure. But I would say no. So anyway, I'm done. That's it. Short recap on this. Let's see. Prop 2, no. Prop 3, no. Prop 4, I might as well read them. Prop 2 authorizes more bonds, so the state gets more money and more taxes, and it could affect your property taxes. So that's a no. Prop 2, the constitutional right to marriage amendment. It's too broad. I would say no, because, sorry, you can't trust people out there. You can't just open the door to whatever anybody wants, because people will often make, there's crazy people out there, and you have to recognize that people abuse the system. So write it a little bit better, and I'll say yes. Prop 4, authorized bonds for safe drinking water, wildfire prevention. Again, no. I mean, 1.6 trillion in debt. We looked last time, and they literally spend billions of dollars on this kind of stuff. So, You need to be able to do it. That's what you're getting paid for, and you need to stop overspending. Prop 5 allows local bonds. This is the Trojan horse, which reduces the approval for raising property taxes from 2/3 to only 55%. I would say no. Don't allow California to get a hold of your property taxes, whether or not they'll raise it until everybody, no one owns anything anymore. And it definitely push anybody who's on a fixed income out of California. I mean, that's just wrong. Prop 6 eliminates constitutional provision allowing for, it's the you can't force prisoners to work, at least without paying them a livable wage, or a decent wage. So I would say yes on that. Prop 32 raises minimum wage. Government should be telling businesses how to conduct their business. Prop 33 expands local government authority to enact rent control. I don't know. I don't know on this one. I would say in the tax, but I clearly think Newsom's coming up with something that's sneakier. That's why he's against it. So, undecided. Prop 34 restricts spending of prescription drug revenues. I like this because it puts an oversight on what they're supposed to, where the money's supposed to go on our government. So I definitely like that one. Provides permanent funding for medical health care services. Was that the other one? Oh yeah, nope, that was this. What was 34 again? Restricts spending of prescription drugs. I think it was a yes on Prop 34, if I remember right. It's been a while now that I've been through this because, let's see, I'm on, how long have we been doing this? An hour and a half. I've had only 0.2% drop frames, so pretty good. Only using 24% of my CPU. So, Prop 34 was restricted spending. I would say yes, because anything that puts an oversight on our government and restricts them from just creating a general slush fund, I'm fine with. 35, again, another one that this is the one that, if you vote for it, you keep a permanent tax in place, or you make a temporary tax permanent, which is wrong. And if you vote against it, then I'm sure Newsom has something coming up that's nastier, because that's just what lizard people do. And Prop 35 allows felony, and that's a yes, because I think there needs to be consequences for committing crimes. Measure G, no to a half-cent sales tax. You already got enough. You're not spending the budget right. You're billions of dollars in debt at this time, for whatever reason you are. A couple $1 billion. What did we say it was? $5 billion spending plan. How much was? Again, they're in debt. They've overspent, and they project to overspend by over 100 million, 170 million this year. So that would be no, and they should actually be hauled into court to find out where the money's been going and what they've been doing. Measure H, I really don't have any opinion on it. I don't think that, I'm going to say no, because I don't think that they should be leasing property inside our parks for childcare. I know Poway's already approved it, but they had to, I guess, put it on the ballot for the county to approve, because that's the way it works. Now, for the big ones. I'm not going to tell you, President. You can decide on your own. I'll just tell you that I'm against anyone that says saving our democracy or the other buzzwords that like to be used in order to manipulate people. So you got to be pretty stupid if you're still falling for these things. And from what I see on X, there's a lot of stupid people out there. Let me go back to here. Hey, I know I didn't fall down. Okay, U.S. Senator Adam Schiff is gross. So I would definitely say whoever the other guy is, I don't know who he is. I don't pay attention, but I'm going to be doing the anti-vote against whoever's running against Adam Schiff because, um, I don't care how delusional you are. The guy lied, repeatedly lied. He's got no moral compass. He caused a lot of pain over years for no reason at all. Um, I mean, obviously he's being paid for being a schmuck. So no, no to Schiff, and then United States Senator. Um, I don't know what this means. I don't vote enough for this, but again, it says Adam Schiff, and no, whoever's running against him will get my vote because I won't give it to him. The representative, I guess, Isa. I mean, I guess. Carl DeMaio. Eh. Can we just like not have any of these? It should be like a lottery. Everybody should throw their hat in, except for some people. County Board of Education, 4th District. You know, our education in California, not that I have any kids, but the ranking is about 48 out of 50. We're in the bottom. I mean, like almost the last. So, and I know it's because we got a lot of English as a second language students, but no. I think that the school should be audited anyway. Palomar Community College District Governing Boards. Again, I got no opinion on. I don't know these people. Poway Unified School District Governing Board. Member Board Supervisor District 2. I don't know. How are we supposed to know? I don't care. Yeah, so that's it. I guess vote. Save our democracy. Dumbasses. Anyone saying that is just, you're being manipulated. And if you repeat it, you're just so brainwashed. It's unbelievable how stupid people can be. But you're not stupid. The people who watched and sit through an hour and a half of me going through the last few propositions for this part 2 and a couple of measures. Congratulations. You made it. And welcome aboard. Again, my name is Don, and this is my channel on YouTube or Rumble or X or whatever, wherever I'm streaming. I'm new to this, and it's not like I want to do just like a talking show or whatever, because I find it hard to do things when I'm in a vacuum, because when I'm a company of one, and usually I can tell some good jokes, but being here by myself, it's a bit of a different beast. How do you get funny, or how are you funny without an audience? And but I'm trying, and again, thank you. I hope you like, comment, and subscribe. Particularly comment. I finally got my first comment on a video, and that was great. So I look forward to seeing either positive or negative, and I will improve over time. This isn't my standard idea of what I want to talk about. The reason why I went through this is, one, so I could put up something like Grok versus chat and see who was better at it. Obviously, what you missed, which I think I'm going to have to go in and edit it. Or I might keep this. I might just put out this entire thing because I know the first part starts out really shaky. But so ChatGPT has the voice function. You can have conversations with it. But I had to abandon using that on this particular show because when you would ask the question, let's say I asked how much debt California is in currently, it wouldn't give me an answer. And that's through, talking to it back and forth. It said it doesn't have that access to that kind of data. But if you get out of that and you just use the regular, text chat with it where you type it in, it knows the answers. So there's a feeling that there's two different programs that's happening and they're not talking. So I'm trying to figure out what will be the point of having a conversation. And granted, I could talk about anything. You could talk about anything with it that it wants to talk about. And it'll talk for quite a while if you talk about, let's say I talk about my studio and what I plan on doing, it will give me helpful tips and hints and things like that. But when I start asking about how much debt California's in or something like that, it may answer the first question, half of the second one, if it even gives you the answer to those, and then it'll like make some weird sound and just go quiet. And you won't have any response from it at all until you shut out of it and go back into it. And so I find that a little suspicious because it's happened multiple times, and I update it to the latest version. In this case, I'm using it on the iPad Mini, but I was using it on my iPad Pro that I have over there. And this right here, I have it on a PC. So definitely notice a difference between. I don't think it's the same. It shouldn't be called ChatGPT, the voice part of it. It should be something else because it's not. It's not the same program, not at all. So anyway, like, comment, subscribe. I'm gonna get out of here. I wish I had a slate to send people off with, but I don't think I do. I don't have a I'll be right back slates. Let me see real quick. Okay, so I'm on the download. Download it. Huh. And I'm going to view extra large icons. Ah. Okay. So I know it says this doesn't say what I want it to say because I haven't created a graphic for the thank you, I'm on my way out show, but I like this image. So you get this. That's fine. That's fine. I hope you enjoy, and let's go ahead and I'll see everybody later. Actually, let's go back. I should have done a little fade to that, but that didn't happen, did it? Adios.